Let's bring in Brady Hawk now from the 5 Reasons Sports Network, who does such an excellent job covering the Miami Heat on the website. Brady, first things first, man. This past weekend was loaded with sports, pro football, college football. We also had the Chris Bosh Hall of Fame induction and the tremendous speech. How much did you enjoy that, my friend? And how much did you love it? Did you get a little emotional when I did, when he gave the ring back to Pat Riley? I was crying like I did at the end of Toy Story 3.
Yeah, I think that was the one part of the whole speech that everybody came away with. I think it's just we always talk about Chris Bosh off the floor, just how he's so active in so many different areas. I think that was the definition of Chris Bosh off the floor. Just seeing him deliver a speech, be such a well-spoken individual to just actually deliver that message and be able to take that moment with Pat Riley sitting next to him and give him the ring that he gave him originally. I think that's just timing. That's just Chris Bosh. So I would agree. That was definitely the moment from that speech that I think everybody walked away with and was like, that was a great speech.
Now, who's the how I'll ask it this way, because I think at least one of these guys is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. How many future Hall of Famers do you think are playing on the Miami Heat right now? Because I'm assuming Jimmy is going to get in. At least I think Jimmy gets in. And then obviously Bam has the talent. If Lowry gets another ring in Miami, do you think he gets in? How many Hall of Famers are on this team right now?
Yeah, I would say right now I'd probably say two. I would probably say Kyle and Jimmy. I think people are hopeful it would be Bam in the future.
Yeah.
But no way you're putting that much of expectations out of this soon. But I would definitely say Kyle getting the ring in Toronto, I think, is pretty much a staple that there's a pretty good shot. And obviously Jimmy, if he gets a ring, it's pretty much wraps for him getting in there as well. So we'll kind of see what happens. Maybe some other guys can emerge. Just a couple of the young guys as the hopeful Heat fan. Maybe Max Strus, maybe Omer Yurtseven.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it's just those two.
We're joined here by Brady Hawk on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So I know that you're always tracking what the next two-way contract is going to be. The Heat have given out the 10 days, the training camp contracts. Who do you think is going to end up getting that second two-way deal?
Yeah, if I had to guess right now, I've been pretty consistent since the beginning. I think it's going to be DJ Stewart. A couple of reasons. I think one, you kind of got an indication of how soon they wanted to grab him. He didn't get a ton of playing time. Like, he got some spot starts, he got minutes, but I feel like there's a reason they got him so early. DJ Stewart, among the group that they signed to Summer League, was the one that was different from the rest. Everybody else was defensive-minded point guards, facilitators. You didn't really know about their offensive game. DJ Stewart and RJ Nembhard, who ended up going, I think it was to Chicago or Cleveland, he was the one that was the scorer. And if you're looking at Miami's second two-way, they need a scoring wing. And DJ Stewart kind of fits that mold. Good mid-range player. He has a good driving game. We don't really know about the outside shot. He wasn't used much of it, but he's an on-ball player who was put in an off-ball role in Summer League. And I think once they kind of get an eye on him in training camp, see what they have in him, and then they can kind of move forward. But obviously after getting Marcus Garrett, I think they're going to have to go in that direction. And even if there are some talented players, they're going to try to look for the guy that's a win now type of player that you can plug and play at the moment. They're not looking for a high ceiling. They're looking for high floor. And I think a couple of these guys that you saw signed, fit that category as well.
There is nobody who will get you more prepared from an X's and O's standpoint for Heat season than the man we're talking to right now, Brady Hawk. And I encourage you, if you go to 5reasonsports.com, you're going to see several stories. Brady has written a lot of preview pieces for what we can expect from individual players. One of the latest one, Brady, is on Bam Adebayo. Now, this, to me, it's fascinating for Bam this season because not only do we have his own development to look at, but you're also giving him an elite point guard in Kyle Lowry. So how is that going to affect Bam's game? And I like the title of your piece, Balancing Lowry Enhancements and Pure Takeover. So what do you think is going to be the bigger factor? Is it going to be Bam's pure takeover in his development, or is it going to be benefiting from playing off Lowry?
Yeah, I think the Lowry factor is pretty much a given. We know what Kyle Lowry brings to a center, especially one that's as talented as Bam Adebayo. He's going to get his lob opportunities that he got in his rookie and second year in the league, where he was a rim runner. Now he's going to get back to that a little bit more opportunities. You're going to see him playing off the catch a bit more because you have that extra playmaker. A guy that can get fed down low a little bit more because they got that extra driver. Other than Jimmy, now you have somebody that could put a little bit of pressure on the rim. But the balance is that they're going to have to. I think the more important part is that he's going to have to take over a little bit more. That's the one element I think that's in question. We all know that he can do it. Jimmy would talk about it game after game that he's pretty much unguardable when he's playing like that. When he's driving to the basket in ISO, taking guys off the dribble, pulling with confidence, that's when he's at his best. It just comes down to will he do it enough? And I think we know the roles of a lot of these guys. They're going to be simplified a lot more with the addition of Kyle Lowry. I think Bam Adebayo is the X factor here, that he's going to be doing so many different things, put in so many different roles that they're going to have him flying all over the place. And I think that's important for him. I think when he has a lot on his plate, he can kind of make instinctive decisions a little bit more, do what he likes to do because he's such a talented player. And like I said, I think we always talk about the wild card being Victor Oladipo coming back from injury, but I think the true wild card is just Bam Adebayo flourishing and taking over a little bit more.
Now, another wild card, although I'm not really too optimistic about him stepping up, and this is a player you've written about since the last time we had you on, is KZ Okpala. And you were asked a question about this. You answered it in one of your latest columns from Ian. He said, should the Heat stop him from trying to be a better rim attacker and just focus on 3 and D? He's got the D, just not the 3. If he just focused on corner threes, would he crack the rotation quicker? Do you think Ian's on to something there?
Yeah, definitely. I think we know he has the defensive capabilities. Like we've seen it. Team defense is not at its best, but that comes along with playing time. He just has the on-ball qualities. That's why they liked him. That's why they jumped up in the draft to try to get him. And that's what makes him a talent. The questions that come is the offensive stuff. We've seen year after year, there's been no real improvement. And I think the issue is that he's trying to find so many different ways to be impactful on that end of the floor. He tries to drive. He tries to do off-ball cuts. But none of that's really in his wheelhouse, that he's not very talented in that area. He doesn't have the ability to get by defenders. He doesn't have great touch around the rim, where he hasn't been a great shooter from the outside. But I think if there's one area he wants to improve on and just totally drill and work on, it's the 3. Because if he can have a consistent 3, and like said in the question, if it's just a corner 3 and he's just a corner spacer, then he's definitely going to have a better shot at cracking the rotation. I think they wanted it to be more of a competition this year that he can crack the rotation, but obviously the offensive stuff means it's not getting to that point. But we'll see what happens. I think we keep talking about project. I think if it comes down to it, I think they probably would give him up to get something back if the right thing came along. But it's just that it is another wild card, as you said, because if he can develop that and can be used as a plug-and-play guy, a guy they've really liked, then I think they have something.
Speaking of wild cards, there was a report last week that Victor Oladipo could actually be ready months earlier than we expected. I think even as early as December, I was reading. How much of a factor would that be, Brady? Because we kind of been operating under the, how do you sort of keep things together at his position before he arrives, maybe February, March? If he can be ready by December, how much of a boost can that give the Heat for regular season wins and playoff seeding?
Yeah, I think I've been pretty much talking about the backcourt of Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo off the bench is pretty dynamic. But I feel like the one question I've had about it is this: would they have enough chemistry getting up to that point where you can run it in the playoffs and feel comfortable with it? If he's returning that soon and getting in the game that soon off the bench with Tyler, you're going to feel really comfortable up to playoff time when you have those two off the bench. Like I've said before, I think there's not a better fit next to Tyler than Victor Oladipo, a guy that could create his own shot, which he needs, a guy that can defend at a very high level, which he needs, and allow Tyler just to do what he does best. And like I brought up in the past, I think Victor Oladipo, when he comes back from injury, you always see an increased catch and shoot number. Yeah. So that's kind of beneficial for Tyler as well. You're going to put the ball in his hands a ton, putting Victor off the ball, telling him to just be more of a spot-up guy early on, develop kind of his game, his speed, everything that comes along with coming back from injury. You kind of see what happens, but it's definitely a wild card. If you can get Victor Oladipo back that early with the squad you have, even if he's not at 100%, which I don't think anybody's really expecting, if he's at 70%, you can very much use him. I feel like Gabe Vincent can do his job. I think they're comfortable with him early on, but there's definitely a much higher comfort level when you have Victor Oladipo at 70% running your offense.
Training camp starts in 2 weeks, and despite what the haters may think, it is another season for Udonis Haslem. You know, I always need to turn at least part of these Miami Heat chats into my Udonis Haslem, my pro Udonis Haslem agenda, because I am a huge fan of his. Brady, what do you expect to see from UD in training camp? Does he approach practices like a guy who's expecting to play 44 minutes, or is it more like a guy that knows he may play 5 minutes all season?
Yeah, I think Udonis Haslem's going to be 70 years old, and he's going to be approaching. He's going to be waking up in the morning, going to these hard training camps, no matter the circumstance. So I did think definitely he's going to be preparing for high minutes. That's just always how he is. As much as he prepares for it, and I think that's how he is. I don't think he's going to get anything close to any minutes this season. I think people were saying that maybe he can get thrown in there a little bit more after we've seen him perform at a decent level. He's competent. But this team has done a total 180 in terms of roster construction. They went from really heavy in the backcourt to now they're very heavy in the front court, where if there was a year for Udonis Haslem to get thrown in there in some spot minutes in a COVID season where guys are constantly getting out, it was definitely last season, where now you're going to, if guys go out, you feel comfortable throwing in a guy like Omer Yurtseven, KZ Okpala, obviously you want to try to see there. So I feel like there's not enough room for him to get thrown in there comfortably. Unless you're looking for some technical fouls and 6 fouls in 2 minutes, then maybe that's the way they go. And obviously, like I said before, if they're playing the Lakers, then I definitely expect minutes from him when Dwight Howard gets out there on the floor. So other than that, that's the only usage I kind of see from him.
That's all that I ask. I just want to see him bully Dwight Howard again. Ricky J. Mark knew what was coming. He said, "Oh, great. Here comes the agenda." You know, I got to admit, I feel so dumb. I did not know this, if this is true. Rafa in Miami writes in, "Happy birthday, Jimmy Butler." Can you confirm that, Brady? Today's Jimmy's birthday?
Yes, it is.
Wow, I'm so bad. Like, I'm bad with anybody's birthday. I remember my own. I remember my wife's. I remember my son's. Every now and then I remember my parents' birthdays, but nobody else, bro. I'm not one of these people who wishes everybody like 10 happy birthdays per day. I don't check all the birthdays. I don't care. But I guess happy birthday, Jimmy, now that I've completely downplayed it. Brady Hawk is with us here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Brady, before we let you run, you brought up to me in a recent episode, you're a big football fan as well, big fantasy football player. How are your teams doing so far, man? I went 2-0.
Yeah, I'm 1-0 as well. I started out the year good. I will say Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett pretty much saved me. They had big games for me. Other than that, we'll see what happens. I have Alvin Kamara. He didn't get a bunch of touches. He played decent, but obviously Jameis Winston was throwing the ball around, getting a bunch of touchdowns. So I feel comfortable. I feel like we'd be at the top of the league if I was in your league right now. So I'm comfortable.
Yeah, you know who led me to one of my victories? I'm in 2 leagues. Tommy Brady. God bless him. That's the other agenda that I have. I think, I don't know, it's because I'm getting older. I'm still in my 30s, so I'm not as old as some of these athletes. But since I'm getting older, I think my agenda is like pro elderly athlete. It's why I prop up UD, and I am a huge fan of Tom Brady. I'm glad he's not a Patriot anymore, because I had to kind of hide in the shadows for 19 years. Like when I was a Brady fan and he was playing in New England, I had to sort of pretend, no, I don't really like this guy. Don't even worry about it. So I can be completely outright with my Tommy Brady agenda, but he led me to victory week 1. So I can't ask for anything more. Guys, you want to make sure you are following this man right now. If you're a Miami Heat fan, even if you're not, if you're an NBA fan, you get so much content, so many great breakdowns from Brady Hawk. Check him out on Twitter at Brady Hawk 305 and check out his work on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thank you so much, Brady. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.